Okay.
Currently, I am planning to book the second walkway at the start of the school holidays, as most of us will be busy with the rest of this term, exams coming up. Do you guys think this is a good time?
Yep, I think that's a very good time to hold it, especially accounting for, as you said, the exams and the timetable, and especially as how activity sort of declines in the holidays. This would be a good way to spread the activity out. So there's a good timetable for the members.
Yeah, often it takes a couple of weeks after the holidays to really reinitiate the history club. So that's a very good idea
Sort
to
of
keep
get
people
momentum, like keep momentum
yeah,
up through the
exactly.
holidays.
Keep people engaged.
It's very, it's, we tend to like routine,
Yeah.
in your opinion, which service should we run this role play with? Should it be on the current official history club server or the original role play server?
I think it's obviously we want to have a lot of consistency. So we don't want to be swapping between all these different servers and whatnot. It's better, especially considering that Arthur's captain, so it kind of gives that sense
I
of
think if we do it on the
officiality.
official history club server, we could set up a channel for the roleplay specifically and allow that to be designated for it so that people can just pop in, because a lot of people also spend this time hanging out on the server, like listening to music, for example. So like they could just check into the roleplay and see what's happening to make it a more interactive experience.
Yeah, the consistency. They don't have to go back.
Because like, no one really uses it because it's
Yeah.
it's like adding on.
Like we have the polls, who's coming, and all the
I
different
feel like that would
numbers.
also appeal to people who are less completely committed to the roleplays, like they're just there for something else and like they might join in, people are more encouraged.
It's easier. It's easier for like people who are on the outside.
Yeah.
So if we're doing officials, may I have moderator
You may, during the roleplay, have moderator privileges to help them.
Yeah, I think it's important, like we saw the other week when Reed did his presentation, that it's not just us two going up and presenting and moderating.
It's also member engagement.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
an ordinary member of the club. It's great to see more engagement from like sort of comp rank and file.
Okay, so on to the more role play setting now. So can you give me a rundown of the background of the characters? Like I can recall that either King Arthur was so lost to the lake. What are the backgrounds of King Arthur and any other main characters?
Yeah, so essentially, King Arthur will. There's not much belief that he actually existed, but the legends say he was a British king around the 5th to 6th century age who led the English or the British defense against the Saxons who were invading. Like nowadays we say Anglo-Saxon, but this was before that. So in this sort of period between the leave of the Romans and the arrival of the Saxons and their invasion, they said King Arthur led Britain against them and successfully made a big empire. Of course, there's not much evidence that he actually existed, but there are some historical figures who people say they might have been inspired. So some of the characters, there was Mordred, who was sort of the evil guy. He's said to be either a nephew or sort of bastard son of King Arthur, who's traitorous and he's so evil, and they fight in battles. And of course, there's Lancelot, who's a good friend of King Arthur, one of the premier knights of the Round Table, which is known as the Round Table because they said King Arthur, instead of a rectangular table, it's a round table because it's all equals. So they said this is part of the sort of British mythology about, yes, King Arthur created this equal table of noble knights to go against Mordred, and it's sort of building the mythology of Britain and its spiritual beginnings.
You also have to be careful in the setting because there are a lot of recreations of the story, and like you can see. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, most of the accounts of King Arthur first appeared, like in the characters and stuff, they first appeared around the 12th century among English and French scholars who sort of started in the 12th century writing about what King Arthur's life was like according to them. His knights, Merlin, all the magic and stuff. Merlin was a wizard.
Yeah, he was as a wizard.
He's said to be a wizard. Of course, historians doubt he had magic.
It's like Mordred was also said to have powers.
It's very wrapped up in mythology.
Yes,
Because
it's
but this
very closely
things are
connected.
sort of lost because after the Roman era, sort of record keeping in Britain very much collapsed essentially. And so it's all kept alive through folklore and sort of verbal communication. And that's how we see like there might have been a real king. There's several individuals who are suspected to have inspired King Arthur and his sort of stories. And it's like through word of mouth, his feats became greater and greater until they're magical.
Like the fish analogy where the guy gets a fish and it's this big, and then he tells the story and it gets this bigger and this much bigger and this much bigger. It's like that. Yeah, like Merlin is a wizard. Suspicious growth. Yeah.
Monty Python's action, which I don't think is very accurate. But so
Oh yeah, they just threw anything like that.
I mean, usually they threw it into the castle, not out of the castle.
Exactly. But
continuing with the characters, like, do you have an idea of like the personas of the characters? I should be aware of.
I mean, yeah, I don't know a lot, but I do know the knights were second very noble, chivalrous. Some of them even sort of reckless, you could say. Like, yeah, because like they say, Lancelot sort of, he was noble and brave to sometimes the odds. Like he'd go off, he must be the hero, go save some death in distress, and then Mordred is said to be the bastard traitor's son, so that would have relation to what we might expect from father or uncle and sort of someone who's turned against his family. And he's sort of, yeah, he's sort of backstabbing and evil. He's basically presented as evil. It's evil. It's like sort of, it's like, the goatee twisting, it's like, oh, my great plan.
there is a lot of
And then Merlin is
information
sort of wise, the wise man. Oh, yes.
the person that always leading the story and always first.
Yeah, it's like that, long beard, mentor character.
Yeah.
Are there some major events that occur in the
Um.
I mean, yeah, there's the event with the lady in the lake.
Yeah.
There's also the battle of, I don't recall, I think it was Cabell or something like that, where they're said to have fought. There's, of course, they're looking for Camelot, and the battle of, it started with C8, like Camelot, but I don't remember exactly. But so it's said King Arthur, that's sort of the end of the journeys where King Arthur and Mordred fought, and it's said they both died in that battle, like a final epic struggle where they kill each other.
Yeah.
The one computer expanding on that, I'm assuming you both watched it.
I've watched a little bit of it.
How much of that is like at least based on the original story?
Well,
Well, aside from all the Monty Python bits they added, like the weird intermissions and stuff, it's reasonably sort of based on it. It's quite edited, but even the original tales of King Arthur can vary quite a bit. So Monty Python is sort of a modern take on it. I mean, they do the Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch, probably not accurate. But they do have a general idea where they're going off on a noble quest, find the Holy Grail, and there's a bridge and stuff. And then they exaggerate certain aspects, some implausible aspects of it for comedic effect.
wasn't Merlin that forged the sword of Excalibur in the stone, the sword in the stone? And it was said that the once and future king of England, King Arthur, would come back and then take the sword out of the stone and be pronounced king.
Yeah, I have
Yes, it just shows like the different adaptations that they have, the different stories that it's Yeah,
It's like,
and I think if we do this role playing, we're going to have to very much keep it to one setting. Like we have to keep it to the Monty Python scenario. Or holy heck.
But I mean, the stories vary,
Yeah.
but there's one sort of general story that emerges from various sources, which are pretty unreliable, but they're still reliable for the story of King Arthur. Like, not saying he's actually real, but this mythos, this myth,
We need to keep it
it's sort of reasonably
one setting.
consistent in the themes and the characters that appears. Like, there's always a mythical king against the evil Mordred and the wise man, except for Monty Python, where it's all on its head.
So originally I was gonna pretty much use the Monty Python adaptation as like a big inspiration for this, but now I see that it's not optimal for the optimal experience.
I mean, for an optimal historical, I use air quotation, not really historical, but in a way, you know what I mean by when I say historical. You look at actual tales. I mean, there are lots of games and stories and adaptations. You could put in a bit of Monty Python for the humorous effect it has. So that's also quite accessible because everyone loves a bit of fresh air laugh.
Wikipedia is very
That's why I'm asking because like
I mean,
I don't want to make
I know if you want a primary source, Wikimedia, well, not really primary, but more primary than Wikipedia, you could look at, I think, historian Lady's Britannia or something, written in the 12th century about the feats of King Arthur. Also,
I think there was a French scholar, I forgot his name, but he wrote a whole book on the mythology of King Arthur. So
you want to look at general 12th century texts, which is when they started writing about the stories of King Arthur. So as I mentioned, the Lady's Britannia. I mean, yeah, just general a lot of sources. I know Resistant Avalon's a game about King Arthur. So if you want to play a card game based on that, you could do that as well. Like that's sort of primary for this myth of King Arthur. Like that's where they sort of started telling the story in this context. Because as you mentioned, it's not really primary, but we don't have any primary sources to say King Arthur even was a king of Britain. So this isn't really about the history of King Arthur, it's about the history of the story of King Arthur.
So finally, out of your personal preference, do you prefer a more comedic and satirical experience based on the Monty Python adaptation, or more serious, like legitimate experience based on the original legend?
I wouldn't mind some comedy in this one because I know the last role playing we did was very structured and historically based, and it was often that you had to follow what happened throughout history. But it would be good to see some like twists and see if you can get more creative.
I mean, yeah, also because the last one was World War II one, right? So we played nations. This one, we're playing characters, so I feel like you can see a lot more interaction there on the personal flair, as you said, the personal flair. Because since they're individuals, not countries, there's also a lot more freedom to express personalities and sort of your decisions as an individual have a lot more weight. So I mean, comedy is good, as I said, everyone loves comedy, but I would like to see more, not serious as in like funeral serious, but sort of genuine character development, like interactive, sort of, like,
It's not just bothering about
general character development through stories, like on a journey, sort of emotional journey through the story, and taking your character in a sort of like you want to follow the historical direction with your character traits, but you can also add your own touch to it.
and that's what's good about this in comparison to World War II. It's already documented. You can watch countless amounts of movies and videos and series. You can do all the research in the world, but you get to
Yes, like World War II, right?
Right?
We know, oh, France, you should not appease Germany, but with the mythology, it's sort of up in the air because there's story, but there's no set history. It's just a story. So, like the 12th century scholars, since then they've forged the story. We're doing the same thing. We're sort of spinning our own version of this tale.
I mean, we're doing the exact same thing before us.
We don't want to make it
a sort of continuing
that people just make random characters and just like randomly go off and don't actually follow any sort of story. But we don't want it to be overly structured, like
It's like they did it. They took the story, retained its integrity, but they added their own touch to it.
Exactly.
And that's how the story organically evolves over centuries.
Like I think there's a TV show on ABC called Merlin, and it follows the perspective of Merlin the Wizard, except from a younger age. So something like that, but you still have the same. Like you said, the integrity. Like you still see King Arthur battling Merlin.
I actually have
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, expanding on all of that, like with the last role play, I've also noticed that a lot of people were trying to like break through the structure, like lots of
Yeah.
humor and like references.
Yeah.
You can really like
And we don't. And the thing is, we don't want to go against that. We want it to be free.
I just want it to be solid.
Yeah.
Less forced.
Yeah, we don't want it to be exactly as we want
Also,
it to be less force, but also have some integrity, some base.
I also think with the last one, it was, I mean, competition is good, but it was a bit too competitive. Like, France is mobilizing all its forces. That did not demand anything from us. Like, okay, it's like, I mean, that's good, but it sort of does restrict it a bit, where everyone's just sort of.
well intentioned.
Well intentioned. Exactly. Yeah. And it's also that you have your little individual, the trifling differences are now not as trifling. It's like, I don't want to invest with dinners. Like, it adds a lot more opportunity for adding your personal sort of role playing, what you like to do. Whereas with the country, you sort of have to go into one type of role play. It's like, formal news announcement, special war has been done. Whereas with this, some people could they could be the comedic relief, I don't know. And then another person could be more serious, like, with this are our objectives, this is how we'll achieve them. And then another person focuses on the details of the cooking, whatever. Everyone has their own thing to add to it.
Yeah, it's much more personal.
Not more flexible within the same framework. Yeah.
Would you prefer if everything was all the characters historically, not really historically,
Yeah, yeah.
accurate or just last book is pretty right now?
Yeah.
So would you prefer like a more lenient or people can choose how they act?
Well, I think what we need to do is we first set out at the outset using the mythological basis for the character, saying this is your character they can choose. But then from there, we don't want them to do things that are completely just out of character.
Yeah.
Like Lancelot suddenly just says, "I'm going home," and stabs one of the knights. But so they want to keep generally in character, but I do think we give them a moderate amount of leeway to grow the character how they want to have fun with the character.
Yeah.
And like sort of keeping, as we've said before, about not only the integrity of the story, but the integrity of the character while molding it a bit. So you keep like structure and framework while you can edit, like maybe the personality is slightly different. You know, like yeah.
Like instead of like we don't want Merlin to be some drunk buffoon, but
But like
instead
maybe
of going
it's-
instead of going with the stereotypical mythology where he's a mentor and he's kind to everyone, they could have like a toxic personality where he's just being
he's like a really bitter wizard. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
Like arrogance.
Yes, exactly.
Like it's a spin on how he's
exactly. You're retaining most of it, but you're not being boxed in. You can develop it how you want. Like you start with mythology, and then depending on how the story goes, your character will organically, naturally develop. It's like depending on an event, if Merlin gets betrayed or something by another character, his character might change. Whoever's role playing might decide, well, this is good enough reason for me to put extra salt in this food. I'm not very creative with the.
It is good enough to curse several banishes to hell.
thank you. That's why.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for the discussion. I got much more from that than I thought.
I mean, that's good. I like seeing this great initiative, and I think you've learned a lot from our last role play, and you'll definitely have a really good experience.
Yes, I can't wait. It's going to be good.
Yes.